Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode on HR management. So today's topic is warzone HR management or HR management in a war zone area. I was also planning to include my personal experiences of a war zone, also handling people who are coming from a war zone area, but I didn't want this video to be too long, so I'll be including that in the next video. So here today I'm going to give 5 crucial points that every HR of an organization which is situated in a war zone area need to do. Again, to include or to come to these 5 different points, I have researched and I have also took inputs from HR professionals who are currently working with organizations which are located in the war zones of different parts of the world. So this is not simply research based, but again, taken inputs from people who have actually been working in war zone areas as HR professionals. I hope this is helpful to all those people or to all those HR professionals, even business people who are either located in a war zone area or are threatened with wars. As all of you are aware, right now the market, again as I mentioned, is going through a very highly volatile situation, and I presume these points will be helpful for every other business or every other professional who is going through a highly sensible or not sensible, highly sensitive or a volatile situation, or who is dealing with a highly volatile market situation. So let's dive into this, and let me begin with defining the war situation. Usually in HR or in business, we do have crisis management. We handle crisis, calamity, catastrophe, but we cannot consider war as any one of them. You need to define war as a war. War is the only situation where there is a direct threat to the humans, where there is a direct threat to the life and livelihood of the people who are working in the organization. So any war situation, you need to define it as a war situation. Do not consider the, a crisis situation scenario or the crisis management scenarios to a war management scenario. Please do not do that. Okay, so this is the first point I wanted to discuss. Anyway, let us dive into the topic a little more further. So there are 2 important things you need to consider during the time of war, or if there is a threat of war that is going to happen in your region. The first thing is health of the organization. Without the organization, there is no survival for the employees. So 2 important things that you need to consider are, first thing, health of the organization. Second thing, health of the employees. Okay, this is the primary thought that every HR professional or every business head should have in their mind whenever you are threatened by war. Okay, so, and I'm going to share only 5 points. I just want to keep it brief. I do not want to go elaborate or in depth. And if you need more information on any specific topic, as I always say, I can do a separate video on in-depth analysis of each of these points. But today I'm just going to give 5 points that are necessary, that has to be handled by every HR professional who are threatened, who are working for an organization which is threatened by war, or the organization is located in a war zone area. Okay, so the first point is going to be war strategies. I'll describe a little bit, but for the time being, I just describe I just mentioned the 5 different points that every HR need to consider. Okay, who are in the war zones. So the first point is war strategies. Second point is re-engineering short-term and long-term goals and strategies. Third point is money. Yes, definitely money. Fourth point is mental well-being or mental health, mental wellness. Fifth point is, shifting to a human-centric approach. So now let's look at each of these points in a brief. Okay, war strategies. As I mentioned, war is a separate situation. You cannot consider it as a crisis, calamity or a catastrophic. War is simply war. Okay, so your organization need to put in war strategies, how your organization is going to look at this war which is going to happen or is currently going on. Okay, so how do you do that? So I'll just give a brief. Again, I can always create a bigger or better video on specific points, but right now just a brief. Okay, war is the only situation wherein the crisis is a direct threat to the life of the employee and the organization, as I mentioned. Okay, there are no other scenarios which are similar to the war situation. Okay, there are no other scenarios which are similar to the war situation. So as an organization and HR, you need to formulate specific war strategies. So you cannot simply copy any other crisis management strategy. You need to formulate specific customized war strategies as per your organization. Do not try to copy it, or do not try to copy another crisis management or calamity management strategy, but you have to formulate. If you do not know, or if your HR team does not know how to formulate a war strategy, please seek help from professional consultants and formulate a strategy mandatorily. Okay, so you have to formulate war strategies for the organization and employees. Any other situation, for example, any natural calamity, if there is an earthquake or there is a tornado going to hit the geography of the place wherever the organization is situated, you are not going to be displaced from the country. Okay, you can always handle the natural calamity or the crisis, and you're going to survive, or your organization is going to thrive in the same market. But war is the only situation where you're not sure if you're going to continue in the same market, because there are higher chances of your organization being relocated from that place. There is no guarantee for your life or your organization's life. So war is the only situation where there are so much of chances of your organization being relocated from the country to a different country, from that geographical market to a different geographical market. So this is why I specify on war strategies. It's mandatory that every organization which is threatened by a war or is in a war zone to have war strategies of their own. Now the second point is re-engineering short-term and long-term goals. Okay, every organization, no matter if it's a small, medium, or a large organization, every organization tend to have their own short-term goals, long-term goals, and the strategies to achieve the short-term goals and the strategies to achieve their long-term goals. But during the time of a war, or if there is a threat of a war, you need to re-engineer. You have to reframe whatever is the current goals. Maybe you can achieve the goals, but the strategies you had planned for the goals need to be re-engineered. You have to restructure them. You cannot work in the same path which you thought before the war or before the threat of the war. So this is a very crucial point for all the HR and the business people out there. If you're threatened by any of the scenarios, please re-engineer your short-term and long-term goals. Rewrite them for sure, because nobody can predict the tenure of a war. Once the war starts, nothing is concrete. Nothing can be said in confirmation as to this is going to end like this, or this is going to go and end up like this. Nobody can predict the consequence of any war. Okay, so as an organization, or people responsible for the responsibility of an organization and well-being and the health of the organization, you need to make sure that you have your strategies in place. You have your short-term and long-term strategies in place. What if the war extends longer than you anticipated? What if the war goes to much more years than what you expected it to be, or what the leaders said it is going to be? Then you need to have long-term strategies also in place. So this is why this point is very crucial. Re-engineer your short-term and long-term goals and strategies which are essential to achieve those goals. That is the second point. Now the third point is money and time off. So when there is a threat going on in the geographical area wherever your organization is situated, people are obviously going to relocate, or people are planning to relocate their families, or are in a very thin, are actually in a lot of worry. Personally, they're going to be in a lot of worry. They're planning to relocate or move, or they're planning to move their families or extended families, and they're going to be in need or in need of their money, more money than usually, because relocation is an expensive process, is an expensive procedure. So they need to have a little more money than what they usually have. So most of the organization, what I understand after talking to the HR professionals who are working in the war zone areas, usually their organizations pay in advance so their employees have enough money, and money should not be a form of worry along with the war. That should be the last of, or the least of worries for their employees. So the organizations which take care of their employees ensure that their employees are paid in advance and are taken care of. And if they need a time off to send their families off or to move their family from one place to the other, the organizations or the HR professionals generally give the time off, generally give the money in extra. So they are at peace. So our employees are at peace. Okay, so this is the point with regard to money. And we have to ensure that the banking and the salaries are not delayed. The money is transferred on time to the bank and they can access it. So we are trying to reduce the pressure on the employees in terms of their financial or economic conditions. We don't want to put additional pressure on the employees. The fourth point is mental wellness and mental health and well-being. So as always, it's always a priority to ensure that the well-being of our employees are taken care of. One thing that you need to take care as HR professionals is to ensure that make them feel that every employee's life matters. Money is secondary. Okay, we have to ensure, oh no, this is my last point. Okay, no, this point, mental wellness and mental health and well-being, what I need to say is that provide them with proper contacts if they need any support in terms of health or mental wellness. Okay, tell them that there are a lot of therapists available, there are a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, consultants, anybody whom they want to contact are available at a phone call away. If locally they don't want to talk to them, locally if they think they do not have enough people because of the war threat, people are moving, then online there are so many registered, certified, proper qualified therapists and professionals out there to help you with your mental health and well-being. So give your employees the contact details, ask them to contact them. Don't sit back and be laid back or be worried. Don't continue your life in a constant worry or anxiety. Seek help. Advise your employees to seek help whenever, wherever it is required. Online, as I said, there are so many people available. Get their help, get their contact numbers, share it with your employees, share it with your people, give them advice on how to keep them, motivated with the life and to carry on with their life, not get shredded by the war threats or the war situation. So that is the fourth point. And the fifth point is shifting to a human-centric approach. As all of us are aware, every organization works. What is the primary aim of any organization, or what is the primary motto of any organization? To make the maximum money, to make maximum progress progress for the organization, maximum reach for the organization, and this is achieved by making the most money out of the business. So that is the primary goal of any organization existing in any part of the world, whether small, big, medium. Every organization's ultimate goal is to be a financial giant, to make the most income out of the market. But war is the only situation wherein an organization has to shift. Okay, they have to shift from the money-centric, from the finance-centric approach to a human-centric approach. You have to make your employees feel that money is secondary and the life of the employees is the most significant and the most important priority of every organization. So this is an environment as HR you need to create, you need to communicate, and you need to let them know that every employee matters more than any money of the organization. So this is the fifth point, shifting the organization focus from a money-centric approach to a human-centric approach. Okay, so these are the 5 points. I'll just make a summary. and then we'll conclude this video. First one, formulate and create and implement, if necessary, war strategies. Second point, re-engineer your current short-term and long-term goals and short-term and long-term strategies. Third point is money and time off for your employees. Fourth point is mental wellness, health and well-being of your employees and your organization. Fifth point is shifting from a money-centric approach to a human-centric approach. So thank you all for your time here. I hope this is useful to all the HR professionals and business people out there. I really appreciate your time here. Thank you. Till we meet again. Bye-bye.